Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk with Soy, your new morning show where real talk happens every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Good morning. How y'all doing in the cafe? Are you ready for some hot and steamy conversation this morning? What you drinking on? What you sipping on? Caramel macchiato? That's my favorite beverage right there. That's how I get my day started. Hot and steamy.
My mother and I had a fantastic relationship.
This is Steven, and I just wanted to share.
You should always be in a place where you're celebrated. Life is too short to stay somewhere and tolerate it.
If you cannot help a person, don't hurt them, especially with women.
Soy's just whole essence is to bring out the best in other people.
Something that touches other people, and that's what your show does. It's not just conversation as you started. It actually has a purpose.
Good morning, and welcome to Coffee Talk with Soy, your new morning show where real talk happens every Saturday at 10 a.m. You can best believe it's your girl Soy bringing you stimulating conversation to the Brew Nation. It's always a joyous occasion here in the cafe. Think on it, drink on it, let's talk now. If Soy means I am, therefore you are bold, beautiful, intelligent, amazing, and leaving your insecurities and inabilities to be tested, then rested while you have real talk with Soy. Welcome to the cafe, y'all, where you can come in and unapologetically be you, because it is a new dawning day. Hello. Happy Saturday, y'all. Happy Saturday. And wow, we are already in February already. Can you believe it? Can you believe we are already in February? We have our new administration in place, rolling up their sleeves, getting to work. We're already in February. People are looking for their stimulus checks and money and getting ready to get these taxes filed. I mean, it's just so much happening. But you can best believe that no matter what we encounter, no matter what we go through, life continues, don't it? Don't it? So if y'all ain't ready, you better get ready. I don't know how much time you got. We're starting February now. We are focused on Black History, which people believe it's just a month, and for some of us it's 300 and it's all year, right? 365, 24/7. It's all year. We should always try to be learning more about our history and who we are. But in addition to covering topics as such, I'm also going to be talking about love and relationships this month as we focus on our loved ones. So this morning, y'all, I'm excited about our topic, and I'm going to do my birthday shout outs, and then we'll jump right into it because I don't want to miss another minute of what is in store for you with these amazing people I have in the cafe with me today. So happy birthday to ya. Y'all know I love birthdays, and if it wasn't for COVID, I'd be at somebody's party tonight. My good friend is celebrating her 50th birthday, so I want to give a shout out to happy birthday, Stephanie. I love you, and may you enjoy this birthday season, and may God bless you as you travel. And welcome to the 50 Club, right? As you travel on your new journey, welcome to the 50 Club. It's a lot of fun in here, and I know you're going to come in here and turn it out. So happy birthday, honey. I love you. Enjoy your day. And happy birthday to all the other Aquarians that are celebrating their birthday season. Celebrate you like you should, and do something for yourself. All right, without saying, let me get ready to introduce the couple that's here with me. Y'all ready? Are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? I want you to tag someone on this live. I want you to call someone. I want you to link them in, text them, link them in so they can be a part of this conversation. You don't want to miss what we are about to share. So if you are a individual who has a home-based business or who is an entrepreneur, you're doing your own thing, you're grinding is what I always call it, because we really are, and so it's bad enough that we have that we work we're self-employed because we're always working, right? So it's bad enough when one of you are doing it, but when two of you are doing it, on top of the other things, it could be chaos, right? And that wonderful idea, that perfect gift that God giving the two of you, it seems like it just went out the window, right? But I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna try to help you this morning because I got somebody in the cafe or some people in the cafe who've been through it all and who can shed light on how you can make it work. So let me introduce a man. He's an author, professional speaker, facilitator, coach, founder of a men's organization, which is the Male Empowerment Networks of Charlotte. He has a wealth of experience as a sales manager and teaches others how to sell themselves and their services. Right? Powerful, right? And with him, his rib along his side is the fabulous Lisa Santiago McNeill, who's also an author, coach, speaker, has spent her life equipping women to find their unique skills, gifts, and talents and showing them how to use them to obtain their economic independence. Now, in addition to them both having skills and services that they provide individually, they do a lot of things collectively. They're running a couple of businesses, and I'm gonna let them tell you about it. But one that I love is a podcast that they do, the Empowerment Duo, where they're coming together and empowering couples, and they're here in the cafe to empower you. So let's give them a warm welcome. The McNeils, Brian and Lisa, welcome to the cafe. How are you?
Hey, we're doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing amazing. Excited to talk to the two of you. How goes it in North Kakalaki? How y'all doing up there?
It's doing great. We're actually sitting comfortably right next to each other on a cool day.
Oh, snuggled like lovebirds. So listen, do y'all sit right next to each other and hold hands and snuggle when the heat is on, and not the heat in the house? I'm talking about the heat in the business.
That's interesting, and you know what? I think that we both came uniquely equipped into our relationship to be able to work together, so that when there is heat, and we'll say heat is disagreement or
Problems with the business, no money,
or issues with the business, like where there's no money, or whatever those situations are, we actually have been able to navigate them with maturity, I think.
We broke it down into 3 key criteria that we believe the lack of causes discord and problems in a couple working together. But the advent of, or the more you have of these things, the better the working relationship is for the couple.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, tell me about that.
And when you want to hear it, we tell you.
Tell me about that, Brian.
Okay, great. Number one of the 3 things we think are critical, and to the degree that you don't have this, is the bigger the problem. Number 1 is
Absolutely.
communication.
Communication.
To be honest, all unabashed communication. You got to speak on it. What's going on, baby? What's on your mind? How are you feeling about this? Is this looking good? Is this looking not so good? And not judging the answers.
Yeah, and I think that both people need to have the ability to effectively communicate not only the issue at hand, but also communication as it relates to being able to defend your position in that concern.
And how it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me ask you this. So if you are a couple and you have communication issues outside of the business, right? So let's say you already have communication issues outside of the business, it's going to be more challenging for you to communicate in the business, right?
It is.
It is, because obviously you don't have the skill set.
Yeah, but in the business, there's some things that can't go unsaid. So if you're having a communication challenge outside the business, inside the business is going to be worse. Yeah. Because you'll have agendas and people are not clear on which direction you're going. It'll just jack up everything.
Yeah, it'll really be horrible.
Oh,
yep.
I like that. Real talk. That's real talk. Okay, so that's number 1. Okay, and what's number 2? Brian or Lisa?
Sure. Transparency. You got to be clear. You got to be willing to be. You got to be willing to not look good.
Right.
Okay. You got to be willing to not take the credit. You got to because so much more can get done when people don't care who gets the credit for it. You know.
As a team, as two individual entities that have then decided to collaborate and work together for a common goal, we've got to keep that at the forefront. The purpose of this is for the common goal. Obviously, there's going to be some doors that I can open easier than Brian, and there's going to be some doors that he can open easier. And that vulnerability or transparency is going to keep us from fighting against the middle.
Yeah.
And it will allow us to say, okay, this you, go ahead.
And that's the third. That leads right into the third, which we think is just as important as the first two, which is mutual respect for the other's skill set. Mutual respect. Like if there's two people in business together, a couple in business together, but one believes they have all the right answers or they're more important in the business and they don't respect the other's skills, that's going to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Mutual respect for the other's skill set.
And I think Soy, I think that mutual respect actually becomes critical for problem solving.
Yeah.
Every business is going to come up against something that a decision has to be made, right? And so with a business that has a couple at the head, everybody knows what a two-head monster looks like, right? So if you haven't laid the foundation that this is going to be how we handle critical decisions.
How we make critical decisions.
Right.
So someone's going to have to. One of the things that we found as that we had to discover, but it really, really helped, was which area of expertise is this decision? For example, if someone is trying to publish something, that's Lisa's area of expertise. I should be willing to defer final say-so on that to her because that's in her wheelhouse.
Whereas if it has something to do with sales, with our sales plan or our sales strategy, obviously that's in Brian's area of expertise. And so while we both have input to it, that decision, he would have the final say.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna be vulnerable and transparent, as you said it, and number two. So I recently had a discussion with my friend. We're not business partners at all, but it was something about his career. Now, and I'm putting this out there because let's say that there is a couple who's having a discussion where what you're talking about is not in either one's area, like the defined area of expertise, and it's an area where you both have to, it's a neutral zone. And so how do you handle the neutral areas, and how do you determine who does what when it comes to those kind of projects or tasks in that neutral area, undefined territory?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now, neutral area, especially if they have differences of opinion, there's a couple of understandings you need to have before you go into the debate about that. Number one, understanding that you both need to have is, look, if we have a difference of opinion here, we both have to assume that the other person is at least
a little bit right,
at least partially right, because there would be no basis for an argument if the other person wasn't at least partially right. That comes from the classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So now we both assume the other one has to be at least partially right. Now, with that in place, I believe that whenever the debate is argued competently or discussed competently, both sides defend their position competently, a truth will come out. Okay? If we're both receptive and looking for the answers, now are we trying to look to be right or are we trying to look to solve a problem? So if you assume the other is right, you debate your position competently, a truth will come out, and the truth will be obvious to both.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there because in the cases where it's not obvious to both, where there is not a meeting of the minds, then I have the tendency to say, whomever it is going to have the most impact on individually gets to make the final decision.
Or more bought in or vested in that process or that point. Okay. For example, I am very happy to concede a point to Lisa that she feels bigger or more passionate about than I do. Okay. If it seems more important to her, that particular thing, and less important to me, it's okay. It'll come back around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I see that this requires a deep level of maturity when you're entering the business with your spouse. So you mentioned that the three things that the two of you think will sabotage the relationship or the business: communication, transparency, and mutual respect. So tell us, give me an example of what you how you guys deal with communication and how you handle communication conflict. What's a tool that you use if you're challenged with this aspect? What do you use? What's your go-to tool, and how does it work?
It's a secret. Two things.
Oh yeah, we do. We actually, and I deferred to him, and then I jumped in. Right. So it really is the foundation of our marriage.
Yeah. Go ahead, baby.
No, go ahead. You can.
All right. First off, talking and listening. Talking and listening. Now, it might sound basic, but here I'm saying about talking and listening. You talk before you start your workday, and listen before you start your workday. You talk throughout the day.
Yeah.
Now, in our home, my office is downstairs. Lisa's office is upstairs. Okay. And very often we have to work independently from each other. We do our morning podcast together, but then we have to work independently. Now, I don't let, and hear me clearly, Soy, I don't let more than 3 hours go without communicating with my wife, okay? 3 hours, about as long a time period as I'm willing to go without us talking and checking in, so to speak. How's it going, baby? What's going on with your day? What have you done? And in between those 3 hours, we both are very, very conscientious to help the other person to celebrate. For example, if Lisa sells a program, immediately we celebrate it, and we have a code word that we use. Our word is cha-ching. Okay, so we'll either call the person and say cha-ching, we brought money in, or we'll text it. And I have like a little emoji, cha-ching, okay? And we tell each other the amount. And it doesn't matter what the amount is. It could be a $15 book or a $15,000 program. We celebrate every dollar coming in with each other because that consistent celebration of money coming in that encourages your subconscious mind. That feels good to be attaboyed on this. Let's do whatever actions it takes to get more and more of that.
You went in a totally different direction than I thought you were getting ready to
That's
go.
okay. You go where you want to go.
We're talking about communication and what tools we use for that. So I think that celebrating is a great way that we interact together. But I think one of the biggest tools and the foundation of communication for us is attempting to understand before trying to be understood.
First, and that comes from the classic book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Attempt to understand before being understood.
Yeah, before trying to be understood. Because I think so often when one has an opinion and they're already bought into their own opinion, sometimes, that can actually block out your ability, if you're not conscientious about it, to even hear the other side. We've dug in so far that even you're just waiting for the opportunity to respond or to react versus respond.
Now, this does take some maturity to do. You mentioned it earlier, Soy. Okay, Lisa's got a strong opinion, and my knee-jerk opinion might be polar opposite even. Let's say that happens. She want to go left, I want to go right, okay? Now, when I'm mature, I want to understand why she want to go left before I even dare bring up why I want to go right. Attempt to understand before trying to be understood.
Absolutely. And I know there's lots of cliches for that, right? Try walking 1,000 miles in somebody else's shoes. But really, when you do try to hear someone's perspective without trying to load your chamber at the same time, then it gives you a chance to hear a side or a position or a piece that you might otherwise miss.
Now, I am a sales coach, and I teach people how to sell. And one of the tenets of that is you can listen yourself into more sales than you can talk yourself into. And one of the tools that I use in training, and this also works in real life, is when you're talking it out, when you're debating, or when you're going for the money or closing, when they say what they gotta say, I want you to slowly count to 3 before you respond in your own head. 1001, 1002, 1003. If you'll slowly count to 3 before you respond, it does a couple of good things for you. One is it ensures that they weren't just pausing long enough to catch a breath, because they may have more stuff they want to say. But the other thing is it gives you a chance and them a chance to see you as a listener, because you are.
You know why I laughed when you said that, Brian? 1,000, 2,000, because I experienced that, and I was told that. I had my spouse and I was in therapy years ago, and one of the things that he complained about when we were marital counseling was that, he can't finish a sentence before I start talking. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, she always, she interrupts me. And I'm like, well, because you say it over and over again. You say what you got to say, and then you say it again, and then you finalize and say it again. So by the third time you're speaking, I'm already ready to respond. So she's like, well, Soy, listen, he has the floor, right? She said, Soy, you have to listen. He has the floor, and you have to regardless of how many times he says it, you need to wait before you speak and allow him to finish. Do whatever you got to do. Count sheep, do whatever you got to do. You need to find some coping skills so that you can listen, but you cannot interrupt him because you're ready to speak. You have to wait. And I was like, oh my God. So I started doing that. I started thinking about my grocery list, my laundry list, whatever I had to do to make sure that I forced myself to be quiet until he finished speaking. So the art of communication, listening and speaking is relevant.
If I was to further explain it, when you don't let someone finish their sentences, what that does is it causes them to repeat it. And if you make them repeat it too many times, like even 2 or 3 times, if they repeat their lame, let's say his point is silly, okay? And it's silly, but he wants to say it anyway. And if you repeat it if you interrupt him and he repeats it again anyway, what happens is by him repeating it again and again, he convinces his own self that his lame position actually has legs. And you cause more fight. Okay,
wow.
So let him finish.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's awesome. That's amazing. So speaking of listening and pausing, let's pause for a quick second for our ads. Y'all hold tight for a minute. We'll be right back.
Have you heard sponsorships are requested? Coffee Talk with Soy is looking for dynamic entrepreneurs like yourself. If you're motivated, energetic with a message or product, consider advertising with us. It's a win-win. For more information on those advertising and sponsorship packages, visit the website Coffee Talk with Soy or call me at 515-I-GOT-SOY. And again, that's 515-I-GOT-SOY.
All right, y'all, if you're just joining us or you came in late, you missed it. Go back and catch it and share it with some others. We're talking to Brian and Lisa McNeill out of North Carolina. The empowerment duo is with us, and we're talking about a way to empower you all so that if you work together, you can make it work. So we talked about 3 things that will sabotage your relationship or your business, which is communication or the lack thereof, being transparent, and mutual respect. And so while we talk through what those mean, now Lisa and Brian are giving us examples of how they use these tools and how it worked for them. So we went through communication. Y'all missed it. Back it up. Hear it again. We're going to go ahead and move to transparency. So how have the two of you, how were you challenged with being transparent, and what did you do about it? How did you fix that?
I want to go first on that, okay? I have a men's group, and a lot of men struggle being able to tell their woman or their spouse when things are not going good. Okay, I learned very early. For example, maybe they talking about laying people off at the job. Now, if a man says that to his wife, and she goes, "Oh my God, what are we going to do if you lose your job? That's going to be terrible. You always lose your job." He didn't say he lost his job. He said they're talking about it, and she just made that situation worse. And what I learned very early in the relationship with my wife, Lisa, is that she can handle tribulation. So when I told her about something that wasn't going good and she did not lose her mind, that made me go, I got a woman that can hear about a problem and work to solve it, and she won't exacerbate the problem. And what that little lesson does is it encourages me as a man to want to be able to tell her bigger things that are wrong or bad. And now she's learned, because of her level of maturity and respect for herself and me, I don't fear telling her about when things are not great because I know she can handle tribulation. And that's very major. Can the other person hear about something transparently and not make that situation worse?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that was a big turning point, Soy, as well. But I think that another thing that is equally as important that I don't think that we highlighted, and that is a common ground for working together in business. Like there has to be a common understanding of what entrepreneurship really is, and what the objective of this working together is, because I think that transparency response, for example, the response that Brian used as an example, where, you come home and you say, they're talking about laying people off on the job. And then her response is, oh no, you're going to lose your job. We're not going to have any money, all of those things, right? That may not be the type of person who is the type of person that could handle being in relationship with an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship money don't just go up, up, up. Entrepreneurship money does not come in on the 1st and the 15th. And so that transparency is just a part of the litmus test for whether or not you can be compatible to actually be in business together in a relationship. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they both got to understand, so the whole entrepreneurial game, it's fraught with pitfalls and defeats. But overall, it's just so much better. Okay? When you weigh it all out, you got defeats, you got a season, you do have to have a level of resiliency.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just so much better than not being entrepreneur.
Wow. Hey, good morning, Lonnie. I see a good friend just tuned in with us, and I'm glad he's listening. There are a lot of people out there that work with their spouses, so I'm glad that people are tuning in and chiming in and adding content to this segment. What does you mentioned, and I want to just go back to this for a quick second, Brian, because I have personal experience with this, that men struggle with telling women things for the fear of them overreacting. Is that the only reason that men struggle with being transparent and sharing information with their spouse?
There's a buddy that goes with that. The overreacting is major, but the other one is, and it's even worse, and it's not going to sound pretty, Soy, okay? But some women unwittingly punish their man for being transparent. They punish them for being transparent. And they can punish them immediately, and they can punish them later on, okay? Baby, they talk about laying off at the job. You shouldn't have that damn job anyway. Dang, I'm not telling her nothing else again because I got stung for telling her.
Okay.
And then if she's the type that'll bring up the stinging thing again like a month or a year later, you're teaching him and you're reinforcing him that if he tells her anything that's not positive, she's going to punish him for that. And so he can't do it. That's why a lot of times older men don't say nothing around their wives because they've been punished long enough.
Okay. All right, women. Y'all hear that? No more punishment. No more punishing them for sharing information. You're gonna have to pick and
And
choose.
I'm not just going about
Yeah.
my relationship. Yeah, I'm not going by just my thoughts in my relationship. I've had a men's organization for 7 years, and I hear it.
No, I believe you. I believe you, but I think it's important for women to hear this as well, because sometimes we say things and there are no witnesses. But hearing this right now, hopefully they're being mature enough to process this information and make a decision. If I'm doing that and this is how it can be interpreted, let me stop, because I do not want this to happen to my relationships. And you know what? To be truth and told, life is going to already bring us challenges individually and in the relationship. So if you can go ahead and prepare yourself and educate yourself and teach yourself how to deal with certain things, y'all are further ahead and you want those happy days. So don't get in the way of being happy. Don't get in your own way of being happy with your spouse, and definitely don't get in the way of having a successful business together. Now, what if they decide that, you know what, maybe we shouldn't work together? What are some tools or some tricks or some tips that will be evident to the two of them that, we can continue to be in love and be together and work out this relationship and work out this marriage? And it's okay if we don't work together. What are some tips or tricks that's going to reveal itself to them that y'all may not be the right couple to work together?
That you want to go first or should I? That's a really, really challenging one for me, Soy, because if you start out working together and you're in a marriage particularly, I imagine it's impossible to not. Okay, if you ever did it for a season and then try to say we're not going to work together because you're still married and you're still in the same household and all the money benefits the same household. So to me, it's hard for me to imagine beginning a working relationship with my spouse and then saying, you know what, you and I don't need to work together no more, because that means something. One of the first three things. That means either they can't communicate, they have no transparency, or they're not mutually respecting each other. So that has to be fixed. I don't think it works in the same household. And here's one more thing I need to say about that. When you are married and you're in business with your spouse, just thinking of it as in business with your spouse, it can be an impediment. I look at it as I'm in business with my best friend. Okay, that's what I think of it as. I'm in business with Lisa. Okay, we've got great mentors of ours who have even the Woodses. They have a thing about. She had a thing. Mrs. Woods. She was talking about. Sometimes she's working with her boss, and sometimes she's with her husband. Okay, she had to distinguish that in her head, for their business to work. But to me, I look at it. I'm in business with my best friend. That's how I see it.
And so extricating yourself from being in business together would be akin to having to go through a business divorce. And I think that is going to have some impact on the relationship as well, the marriage as well. So I really think that this is something that is better off examined at the beginning versus trying to undo at the end.
Yeah.
Go into it with an open mind. If any of those three areas are already a challenge before you go into business together, work on addressing those areas as opposed to trying to fix it at the end. Now, the other suggestion could be to work in business together as almost as individual contractors to one another, where you're keeping your businesses, the pieces that you do for the business separate so that your decisions are independent of one another. Some people run their marriages that way, so I suppose that it's possible. We don't. Okay. We are collaborative. We're not subcontractors to one another. So
the more I think about this, the more I'm thinking it's worth fighting for to stay in business together. If you start, it's worth fighting for. It's akin to me to a giving up. I think Lisa was right. She said it's like a divorce, but I think it's worth fighting for the good that comes out of it. And that's another example. If you're even thinking about, we need to not work together, okay? That's something right there. That's a tribulation that you can work through. And if you do work through it, I'm not trying to be Pollyannish, but if you do work through it, the whole thing gets stronger. The whole game gets stronger if you can get past that place.
And honestly, one of the things that I go back to again is each person has to come into it as entrepreneurial. You've got to exist. You can't force someone to have an entrepreneurial mindset.
That's major.
You cannot force someone to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Entrepreneurship requires some intestinal fortitude. It requires some resiliency, and it requires the ability to be able to swim like a duck. Right? That means that on the outside, to the outside world, and I'm talking about your friends and your family, because now this is your marriage and your business, right? So that means to your friends,
Go ahead.
That's funny. So that means to your friends and your family, things have to remain smooth.
They think it looks fun. Everything is great.
Yeah.
But underneath the water,
kicking like crazy.
Kicking like crazy. And so that means there has to be a commitment to be in like serious, what's the word? Like ride or die ship. I don't even know what else to call it, with that business partner.
Yeah, we're not letting this thing go.
This is us. The things that we got to go through behind the scenes, that's nobody's business. And we're not keeping it from you. Like right now, we're being very transparent because we've done the work. We've done the work.
And it's worth it. It's worth it.
It's worth it.
Doing that work is worth it. Yes.
So what are some other things that you find to be worth it that keeps the positive energy between the two of you, that keeps you connected? Brian mentioned earlier, and I thought it was so cute that he said,
I'm talking about your friends and your family, because now
he said in about
right? So that means to your friends,
I'm sorry. He said in about 3 hours he goes back and he checks on you. You know, he communicates with you, and I think that's touching, because I think that leads to just kind of staying in touch with each other. It's romantic. And especially if it's that you are excited when something happens. Earlier you mentioned what Brian mentioned, that, you know, y'all got this code word that if you make a sale or something comes in, money comes in, y'all got this code y'all use and y'all celebrate. I think that's nice. I think it's romantic. But what are some other things that the two of you do to keep the just to stay in touch?
We definitely spend time apart. People might think, what? How does that keep you closer? But we spend time, we both work in the same house, one upstairs, one downstairs. And we, of course, spend time together. We come together, like we typically have lunch together. We try to schedule that. But we also have alone time. Brian has his solo time, like a couple of hours a day.
Cigar.
And I have my solo time as well. And I think that strengthens us, because we remain true to our own individuality. And I think also prayer is a big deal.
Now, that solo time Lisa's talking about is major. I check out late afternoon for a couple of hours with a cigar and a drink, okay? And that time is very important to me, okay?
Okay.
But that's it. That's what I do, okay?
Yeah, that is
and
important.
Our check-ins are as important.
That I was just going to say, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is important, especially not now that people are having, even though they may not be partners and working in the same business together, but we're sharing workspace due to this pandemic. So I can see how important that is. But you were going to talk about your time, Lisa. What is it that you do when you check out?
Oh, I don't do anything special. I mean, I might exercise. I might create. I like art. I might watch some ratchet TV. But whatever it is, it's just those few times separate. But as important as the checkout time, as important as the lunch time, we also check in. We check in every morning before our show. I guess it could be considered our pre-show, pre-production meeting. But that checking in is very, very important to us.
We're talking about our day. We're talking about what's going to be on our podcast. We check in with each other's schedule. Baby, I got a 1 or 2 o'clock today. What time's your first appointment? So I know what her schedule is from what she told me. Okay, and she knows what my schedule is from what I told her. We both are very, very busy, and if we don't have that check-in, it's like an ounce of prevention
is worth a pound of cure.
We're doing that little bit of time to prevent some stuff from happening instead of trying to fix stuff. Okay.
So give those who are a little slow with it. Give us an example of what you think would happen for the two of you if y'all didn't check in the morning. Give us a worst case scenario of what could happen. How could that day end?
We'll interrupt each other. We'll crowd each other. We'll mess up each other's schedule. We'll find ourselves having to eat at different times because we didn't.
Yeah, so let me even be more specific to that. Imagine if you did not know that, for the sake of my opinion, that your husband had back-to-back appointments today and he had a big closing this evening that he was working on. Imagine if you didn't know that. And then something occurred in your day that upset you or that startled you or that, somehow threw you off. And because you didn't know, you interject the urgency of that. Now, I'm not saying that it's not urgent, but I'm saying compare what's going on. You interject the urgency of that, and it throws him off of his game. Now, his response is not going to be sympathetic to what you were going through. His response is going to be, look, you sabotaged everything because we didn't know. That is the power of communication. Communication can help you to see when the right time it is to bring up something. Because listen, there's things, he's not perfect, I'm not perfect. There's little things that get on our nerves that, you want to say something about. But in comparison to knowing what's going on, you can choose your battles and choose your windows.
And that's a great point.
And you can preserve your relationship.
That's a great point.
Good. I like that. And also, Lisa, in what you shared, I also kind of visualized, how something was going on with the woman. She tried to reach out to him. You interrupted his day, or if he don't respond because of those meetings or those projects he's working on, you feel like you're dealing with it alone. And now by the time you talk to him, you're like, why didn't you answer? Why didn't you take my call? Right, because you didn't know that he was unavailable. And then you can measure your emergency against his project and determine whether it's worth interrupting and ruining his day, or is it something that you can hold off and wait until you talk to him later. So real talk. That was that was a good example. I think that's one people can relate to.
From stewing.
Stewing.
It'll keep you from
You don't know
stewing.
what it is. You'll finish the story. There's grown people have to finish the story. He must be ignoring me. No, he's not ignoring you. He's busy.
Ooh. Okay, before we go, I want y'all to drop some nuggets on stewing. Just drop some nuggets on stewing. Help us with the stewing. First, tell people what it is, and then I want y'all to drop some nuggets on the stewing.
So stewing is a misuse of your imagination.
Those are the exact words.
What? Say it again. Say it again.
I know you.
Say it again. Say it again.
Stewing is a misuse of your imagination.
A misuse. I was going to say those exact words.
We can come up. Let me tell you, women are we are creators. We have a womb. We create babies. We are the reason.
Imaginative.
We can create some stuff. And that stew time, when you fill it with every fear and every doubt and every possible negative end scenario, can create a monster. But I will also give the men the solution to combating the stew.
Okay.
The way that you combat the stew is you make deposits on a regular and consistent basis that would otherwise contradict any ingredients that might go into that stew.
You need to make that more clear, because that has kept me out of trouble a lot of times by making good deposits, making positive deposits into my relationship. Enough of them, enough loving deposits, enough helpful deposits, enough encouraging deposits, you know, so that you have a bank of deposits.
Yes.
So when the inevitable comes, because none of us are perfect,
Mm-hmm.
when the inevitable comes where I say something I shouldn't have said, or I do something I shouldn't have done, I have enough positive deposits already banked up that negative withdrawal won't throw the account off.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And so it's a mutual responsibility. I mean, it goes both ways. Men can stew too. So women, it's also important to make positive deposits. But I'm saying in this particular case, women can stew, honey.
This is a major point.
Mm-hmm.
By the time, if you have too many negative withdrawals, okay, she pissed me off, she pissed me off, she pissed me off, she's pissing me off. Okay, too many negative withdrawals, your account will become overdrawn, and then that other negative demon starts coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Do I even want to do this at all?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that stew is fully brewed.
Yeah, it's doing too long. Way too long. Way too long. How do now I got a question. Ray Hawk, I see your question out there. Ray Hawk 62 has a question, and I'm gonna read it to you guys in a second. But I don't want to interrupt where we are in this in this discussion on stewing. So if your spouse is stewing, right, they're misusing their imagination, as we've stated, and I've typed it in the feed so everyone can get it and see that. If your spouse is stewing, do you recommend that the other person interrupt the stewing process, or do you let them stew and come out of it? How do you? What are your recommendations on dealing with it?
You can't interrupt stew.
You can't interrupt it.
That's why. No, you can't interrupt stew.
You don't even know what it is.
You don't even know it's happening, because that's what happens. That's what we do. We make a whole pot of stew silently in the kitchen.
They were like, what's wrong, baby? You don't know what's wrong.
What's wrong with you? Nothing.
He has no idea this is going on.
No, this is a secret stew. You're making a secret stew. That's why you have to consistently make those communications and deposits, because you know how you know that there is some stew is that if you get a whole lot of nothing. That's
if you're not talking at all.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something stewing.
So what? So what do you do?
Big pot of stew.
So what do you do? And y'all know, like stew in the crock pot. Y'all know that it's not a strong odor, but it's very subtle, and you start smell like onion, smell like chicken, right? You smell a little something cooking in the pot, right? You smell a little, so like you said, there's the nothing that comes. So how do we deal with the nothing? What do we do?
I haven't had to do this very often, but sometimes. This is where you can't be pretty. Right. Hold it. Lisa, no, you're not moving from this spot here until you tell me what the hell's going on.
Okay.
You don't have to stand in the middle of the floor or sit right here. But no, we're not moving past this moment until I know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
There's something you got to say, something, okay? But we're not moving past this and then they're praying it out. That's
one thing. But here's the other thing, and my husband is really good at this. You can't always know what the stew, that there is a stew, right? You can't always know. But if you know that you typically have a loving, caring wife, and suddenly there is some coolness, if you take a moment and examine yourself, you can usually see that there might have been a moment that I was gruff or whatever the case is. And my husband is very good at falling on his sword or coming and explaining. But I also don't make it difficult.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't make it difficult. That's one.
Okay.
But two is also that I will let him know that sometimes the stew already in the pot and everything, but I will let him know, listen, I think you owe me an apology, and here's why.
And that's the other thing, too. Now, if you owe an apology, either husband or wife, if you owe an apology, give it quickly. Give it now if you owe an apology.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not that long ago. Yeah, if you owe an apology, you need to do that now. Don't put that off. Okay? Mm-hmm. But there was one time Lisa had a stew, maybe within the past year, and I was flummoxed. I didn't know what the stew was about. I hadn't yet controlled the situation. But Lisa, this particular time, Lisa worked it out. She realized that she was stewing on her own accord from something that I didn't commit a crime on.
Mm-mm.
Okay? But she had used her imagination there. And then she came back to me, honey, I realized the last couple of days I've been this and this. And you know what? I thought about it. You didn't even realize what happened. The crime you committed didn't require all of this. I apologize. And I was completely relieved because I didn't know what was going on. What crime did I commit? But she realized it and apologized before I could figure that out, which really, really helped ease my mind.
And that was a matter of maturity. I have to say that some of, and I can't speak everybody's stew, but some of my stew is got ingredients in it that he didn't bring to the table.
Ooh.
Now, sometimes you might have some leftover dried carrots and some leftover dried onions from some previous stuff, and you throw them into your stew. And unfortunately, them ain't right. I got golden carrots. I don't have orange carrots. I didn't bring those carrots in. But so it was some self-evaluation that allowed me to say, wait a minute. And understand, I couldn't have gotten to that re-evaluation if he didn't have enough deposits on his side for me to even be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. So all of that communication came and played in together.
I like that. Okay. That's some good stuff.
If I could drop this last nugget here.
Go ahead.
Overall, the most important thing is the relationship. Our relationship is more important than anything else. My wife is more important to me than any individual person on the planet. More important to me than anybody else. My mother, children, anybody. My wife is the most important to me. Okay? So despite anything that goes on, the most important thing is still the most important thing. Lisa. The care and feeding of Lisa is more important than anything else. The care and feeding.
I love it. I receive it.
Well, you know what, Brian, that comment there is definitely a segue to a very needed topic, and we may have to bring you all back on here to have that. When you say that your wife is the most important thing, more important than your parents, more important than your children, that definitely is something that we will talk about at another time. We got to figure that out. But I'm telling you that the crowd is loving you. They're like, keep dropping them nuggets. They love it. And I promise Ray Hawk we will get to his question. And my producer is pointing me to that. So let me read Ray Hawk's question. Ray Hawk 62, thank you for chiming in with us. He's with us on Twitch. And his question is, how do you circle back and correct or reverse those times when you've stung your spouse when they've been transparent with you to encourage them to continue to share with you? How do you circle back and correct that? Yeah. Or reverse those times he's asked.
You have to apologize. You have to apologize sincerely and big. Honey, I realize what I did. I apologize for this. I'm resolving not to do this anymore. But you owe a big apology for that. Yeah. That's all you could do. That's all you could do there is apologize, I think.
Well, I think apologizing is the beginning of it.
Okay.
I think that you almost have to consistently rebuild that trust. Because what you did was you broke a trust.
Yes.
The trust was, you can lean on me, you can tell me anything, and I am going to respect it, and I'm going to honor it and nurture it. And when you break that trust, then you have to go about whatever it takes to rebuild and restore that trust in you with that person. And sometimes that means giving them some space.
They have a right to how they heal from that broken trust.
Yeah. Sometimes that means, having to apologize more than once. It really is just like any other broken promise. It has to heal. You can't force a wound to heal. You have to allow it to heal and give it the right conditions to heal.
Well, you can't force it, Lisa, but can't you nurture it? Can't you tend to the wound?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Can you tend to the wound?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And you must.
Okay.
You must. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to tend to the wound, but you have to listen. It is, right. And you have to listen to the person who has the wound. And they now understand this. They get to play the part. They get to decide how they want to heal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They get to decide.
Baby, I'm not ready to hear this right now. That's their right to say.
Yeah. And it's hard to hear sometimes. You know you messed up, but you gotta go off and lick your wounds and deal with it. And then please don't compound it by bringing anyone else into the conversation.
Ooh, your mama's in our business.
Yeah.
Keep everybody out of your business.
Or don't begrudge. See, I tried to apologize, and you won't even let me apologize.
Yeah, you don't get to do that.
Oh, you don't get to do that. Okay, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Okay. But what if they don't? What if they don't accept your apology? What if they don't? Then what?
They very well may not, okay? But that's their right.
Okay.
And you give it some breathing room. But to me, if they don't have to accept it right now, if the mission is bigger enough for me, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to come back again, okay? Sure don't have to. It's a process. That's the word. It's a process. It's not an event, okay? They don't have to immediately forgive and forget, but I'm not going to quit the game. I'm going to keep coming back. I'm going to come back another time, okay? It's okay.
And also communicating and understanding that forgiveness does not mean complete restoration.
Mm-hmm.
You may be forgiven, meaning I let you back into my heart, but I'm not going to share a similar thing like that anytime soon.
Done.
That ain't, no thank you. I'm good.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to do that again right now, or maybe not even ever. And that's very sad, but that's why it's so important to be as conscientious about your interactions with your spouse as you possibly can, and your business partner.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, now listen. They want y'all to keep dropping nuggets, so you all keep the conversation going on the social media platforms. Brian and Lisa will chime in, and I'll definitely get them to respond. But we definitely want people to be healed. We want to understand. We want better relationships. We want better relationships, and we want more productive businesses. Y'all know how I am. I love our Black businesses. I support Black businesses 100%, and I've been working tirelessly on a project called The Grind, which is a network for entrepreneurs. So if you're interested in hearing more information about The Grind and how you can be supported in your Black-owned business, visit the website, CoffeeTalkwithSoy.com. There's a guest book there. You can subscribe there where you can get more information about that networking opportunity and how it's formulating, as well as tell me what you think about the show. If you enjoyed the show, if you've been a visitor on the show, I want you to share your experiences about the treatment you received from this Black business and how you've enjoyed the journey here. So visit the website, CoffeeTalkwithSoy.com. If you're looking to be a guest on the show, we can take your information there and plug you in as well. Now, our calendar is booked up. We're now into April. So if you have a topic or something you want to share, do reach out to me as soon as possible so I can get you scheduled in our show lineup. I'm thankful for that, and I'm glad that this platform is servicing our communities. But definitely hit me up
90 seconds.
.com so that I can get you on the show. All right. Anything we have before we wrap up? Anything you want to say before we leave?
Just thank you for this opportunity for us to serve. We think this mission is important. We think it's a growing talk because there's more and more couples deciding to work together. So we get asked this question a lot of times, and we were grateful to be able to do it on your show. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Soy. We appreciate being able to come hang out with you and your guests, and we look forward to inviting them out to hang out with us as well. Monday through Friday, we are on Facebook Live at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Empowerment Duo page. And so we welcome them to come and hear a little bit more shenanigans from us.
Yeah, and tell them real quickly what you both do individually as well, if you got a quick 10 seconds. They have men and women empowerment networks, and I want y'all
I'm
to
a
be
sales.
like, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I am a sales confidence coach. I help entrepreneurs to learn what they need to learn so they can be super confident in their ability to earn money selling themselves and their services. That's what I do.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I am the coach's coach. I help individuals with a story to tell to not only write it, publish it, and promote it, but to use it to create a business where which they can reach their audience and go from impact to income.
All right. Well, thank you both. I have appreciate having you on the show with me. They're phenomenal people, and I appreciate you. So thanks for hanging out with me this morning, Brian and Lisa McNeill, the empowerment duo. Thank you. All right, y'all. It's been awesome. It's been awesome, and I want you to continue listening to the show. Please share this information with others, and join our network, join our support group, and keep sipping and talking with Soy every Saturday, 10 a.m. right here. Go out and be great, y'all. Do something great. Be you.
I just love this show. Coffee Talk with Soy, that is your new morning show where real talk happens every Saturday at 10 a.m. I'd like to thank the listeners and the guests for joining me in the cafe today. What a wonderful time we had. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Don't forget to download the app Coffee Talk with Soy from your app store. It's available on iTunes and Google Play. Stay connected, folks, by visiting the website CoffeeTalkwithSoy.com, as well as looking for us under your social media sites. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under the name Coffee Talk with Soy. Remember, the size of the problem is never the issue. Remember, it's the size of you. Be great because you are awesome. Tell them Soy said so. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Bye-bye.